Hi, friends. I am going to tell you a story today. This is one I usually tell when there's apples dripping from the trees and it's not springtime, usually. It's usually fall. But it's so windy that it made me think of this story, and I thought, why not share it? Okay? Because I usually only tell it once a year. Um, but why do I only have to tell it once a year? Why can't I tell it many times? So I'm going to tell you my story called Phoebe's Riddle. Okay? I'm going to have my friends here. I've got Cider Mac and I've got Granny Smith. Okay? And this is an apple tree. If I bring it really close, maybe you can see it. See the apples on that tree? Okay. There we go. Okay. Phoebe's Riddle. One day, Phoebe was hanging out in her room. She was lying on her bed staring at her ceiling because she was bored. She'd already done her new puzzle. She'd already taught her stuffed animals the ABCs. And to top it all off, she even cleaned her room. Now she was super bored and couldn't think of anything else to do. As she lay there staring at her ceiling, something wafted past her nose that smelled delicious. Mom's cooking. Phoebe jumped off her bed and ran downstairs to see what her mom was cooking. She popped into the kitchen. "Hey, Mom," she said. "Hi, Phoebe. What are you up to?" I'm bored," said Phoebe. "Oh, you're bored? Well, why don't you do your new puzzle?" "I did it." "Wow. Oh, you could teach your stuffed animals their ABCs. I know they need work." "No, I did that already, too. They don't want to do it anymore." "Oh, well, then you could clean your room." "I did that, Mom." Oh, Mom was shocked. "Well, you must be bored," she said to Phoebe. "Yeah, I am. What you baking?" "Well, I've got an apple pie in the oven, but I just took out these apple muffins that I'd like you to take over to Cider Mac. Thank him for all the apples he gave us." "Oh, okay. I can do that." "And I have another idea if you are particularly bored. I could give you a riddle." "What's a riddle?" said Phoebe. "Well," Mom thought, "it's like a play on words. You know how some words have two meanings? Like the word bear could mean you're bare naked, or bear like a bear. And sometimes when you say one, you think the other. It's kind of like that. It's like solving a riddle. Like the riddle, what's black and white and red all over?" "Huh?" said Phoebe. "Yeah. What's black and white and red all over?" Phoebe thought for a minute. She couldn't come up with the answer. "What is it, Mom?" "Well, a newspaper." "Huh?" said Phoebe. "Yeah, a newspaper. The color of it is white with black writing, so it's black and white. And then people read it all over the world, so that it's been read all over. Not the color red like you were thinking, but red like reading." "Oh, I think I get it," said Phoebe. "That's a riddle," said Mom. "Would you like me to give you a riddle to see if you can solve while you take the muffins to Cider Mac?" "Yeah, let's see. Let's see if I can do it." "Okay. It's a little tricky, but I know you can do it," her mom said as she packaged up the muffins for Phoebe to take to Cider Mac. "Okay. I want you to think of a house that has no windows, no doors, a chimney on top, and a star inside." "A house with no windows, no doors, a chimney on top, and a star inside? How can a house have no windows or no doors? And why would it need a chimney if it doesn't have those things? And why is there a star inside?" "Well, that's the riddle. You need to solve it. Okay? So, when you get back, let me know if you solved it." She handed Phoebe a bag full of hot muffins to take to Cider Mac. So Phoebe hopped off her stool and grabbed the bag and went to get her jacket and wrapped her scarf around her because it was a little chilly and it was super windy out. She could tell because she could see outside the leaves were flying all around. She hopped outside and she thought again, what is a house that has no windows, no doors, a chimney on top, and a star inside? Huh, she said. Meanwhile, she could smell the apple muffins. They smelled delicious. And she skipped along. She went out her door and down her path and out the gate and along the dirt road, walking. It wasn't too far to Cider Max, but on the way she came along the apple orchards where all the apple trees were growing. Oh, and the wind started to blow. Can you blow the wind with me? And the leaves on the trees started blowing and blowing, and apples, and once in a while she'd hear a little plop. When an apple would fall, the wind would knock it out. It would be so ripe it would fall from the tree. She buttoned up her coat a little closer because it was windy and chilly, and she kept on going until eventually she came to Cider Mac, who was out front with a bushel of apples, dumping it into his cider press and cranking the press. Oh, Cider Mac, stand up there. He was making apple cider with all those apples. He was cranking it, and the apples were getting squashed, and all around it where the bees were buzzing bzz, because they were smelling all the sweet juice from the apples. At that moment, one of the apples fell out of the bushel and didn't quite make it into the mill and rolled over to Phoebe's feet. Phoebe picked it up. It was a nice red apple with a long stem on it. Here you go, Cider Mac, she said. Oh, thanks, Phoebe. What are you up to? What are you coming by for today? Well, Mom baked you some apple muffins because we really appreciated all those apples you gave us the other day. Mom's been making all sorts of apple things. Apple pie, apple crisp, apple muffins, apple bread, and we love it. So she made you some muffins to say thank you. Well, that's awfully nice of you, Phoebe. Why, thank you. As she was thinking, Cider Mac could tell that something was on her mind. What else is on your mind, Phoebe? Well, my mom gave me a riddle, and I'm trying to think about what it means. Well, why don't you tell me? Well, do you know what it has? A house that has no windows, no doors, a chimney on top, and a star inside? Oh, that's a good riddle, said Cider Mac. Well, here, why don't you have an apple while you walk around for a snack and see if you can come up with the idea. You know, Granny Smith up the hill, she might have some ideas of how to solve that riddle. Oh, okay, thanks. She took the apple and popped it in her pocket. It was a nice red apple with a nice long stem on it. She twirled the stem as she felt it in her pocket. Bye, Cider Mac. Bye, Phoebe. Good luck. Thanks. And off she went. She figured she had nothing else to do that day, so she did want to solve the riddle, and maybe Granny Smith would have a good idea of how to solve it. Granny Smith lived up at the top of the hill and was always baking something delicious, and was always had her door opened for everybody to come in and visit. She was a very sweet, friendly woman and liked visitors, so Phoebe decided it would be a good idea to go on up. The wind started to pick up again. Let's blow the wind. You ready? The wind blew as Phoebe walked past more of Cider Mac's orchards, and she could hear the apples dropping and the leaves rustling as she made her way up the hill. Eventually she got to the top of the hill and knocked on Granny Smith's door. Come in, dear, said Granny Smith. Phoebe walked in. Hi, Granny Smith, it's Phoebe. Oh, Phoebe, come on in. I was just serving up some apple crisp. Have a seat. Thanks, said Phoebe. I'd love some. Granny set a bowl of apple crisp in front of Phoebe, which was still warm and delicious, and then she scooped a little bit of ice cream on there, too. It's fabulous. Phoebe tasted it. Oh, this is delicious, Granny Smith. Thank you so much. I'm trying to solve a riddle, and Cider Mac said you might have some answers. Oh, I'd love to help you. What's the riddle? Well, my mom said I've got to find a house that has no windows, no doors, a chimney on top, and a star inside. Oh, that's a good riddle, said Granny Smith. I know that one. You know, you should ask the wind. The wind often can tell you where things are. The wind, said Phoebe. Yes, dear. The wind knows many things, if you know how to listen. Said Phoebe. The wind has been quite noisy today, Granny Smith, but I don't know that it was telling me anything. Well, you'd be surprised if you pay attention. The wind should lead you to the house with no windows, no doors, a chimney on top, and a star inside. Oh, okay, said Phoebe. Thank you for the apple crisp, as she finished it up and brought her dish over to the sink and put a little water in it. Oh, you're welcome, dear, said Granny Smith as she started to put away things in her kitchen and clean up. Well, have a lovely afternoon and listen to the wind, she said. Okay, said Phoebe. And off Phoebe went. She put her jacket back on, her scarf, and tied it up, and she headed out. And she thought about what Granny Smith had said and thought it was kind of wonky. Listen to the wind. Ask the wind. What does the wind know? Well, I don't have any other leads. I might as well ask. So she said, Hey, wind. And she waited. There was no wind. Wind! No wind again. Wind! She called a third time and said, Can you tell me where I might find a house with no windows, no doors, a chimney on top, and a star inside? Just then, the wind started to blow, just gently. Just enough so Phoebe could hear it. As Phoebe started to walk down the hill, she felt the wind on her back, sort of pushing her gently. Closer to the bottom of the hill, the wind picked up a little bit harder, and as she approached Cider Mac's orchard, where all the trees were, the wind really started to blow and swirl, and Phoebe wondered what was going on. As she kept walking, she almost passed the orchard when the wind stopped. And Phoebe turned around. She said, Well, the wind didn't give me any answers. I still don't know where there's a house with no windows, no doors, a chimney on top, and a star inside. At this, she went over to one of the apple trees and sat down on it. In her pocket, she put her hand in her pocket to feel the apple that Cider Mac had given her and pulled it out, twirled it in her hands, looked at the stem. She felt it, twirled it like that, and the wind picked up right at that moment. Ready? And Phoebe put the apple down, and the wind stopped. Well, that's strange, thought Phoebe. Where did the wind go? Why did it start all of a sudden? And as she looked at her apple, she noticed something about it. Smooth, round, a little stem. All of a sudden, Phoebe had an idea. She thought she knew what the house was that had no windows, no doors, a chimney on top, and a star inside, but she wasn't entirely sure. Quickly, she put the apple back in her pocket and ran all the way home, up through her gate, up her path, into the door, into the kitchen. Mom, Mom, she said, I think I know what it is. I think I know what the house is. I think it's an apple. But I don't know if the star is inside. How can I find that out? Ah, good question, Phoebe, said her mother. I think you might be onto something. Should we find out if there's a star inside and if you are right? Yes, please. So Phoebe's mother took the apple, found a cutting board, put the apple on it, and found a knife. And she said to Phoebe, she said, take an apple, round and red. Cut through it, not down, but across instead. And inside you'll open it up, and you will see a star in there for you and me. So I'm taking the apple and I'm cutting it sideways. Do you see? Here's the stem. There's the stem. I'm not cutting down, but I'm cutting through instead. And I'm going to open it up. And a star is there. Phoebe solved the riddle. A house. A house with no windows, no doors. Is this a chimney? Not really. But it's a stem and it looks like a chimney, right? It's usually attached to the tree. But inside lives a star. And what lives inside the star? Can you tell? Can you tell what those are? Yeah, those are the seeds. That's where the seeds live. So the apple is a house for the seeds. Can you see that? That's a perfect star. So that's Phoebe's riddle. Do you know of any more riddles? If you do, let me know.